So I'm here with Feroza Cariem. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Perfect.
So she is our ambassador for the month of May, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what she does. As you know, this is our ambassador program. So she's really here to share insights with us into what she does and give us advice on how we could join the tech world more in relation to you. So while I'm really not giving a good introduction to you at all, Feroza, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So thank you so much, Radia, for that introduction. I'm Feroza Cariem. Like you said, I've started, let me take you through my journey. I started at studying at University of Western Cape. I did a BCom degree, and like most people, I wasn't sure what I wanted to major in. And then one of my courses was information systems, which I found quite interesting with the way the world was developing, technology being one of the trendiest topics. So I opted to do information systems as one of my courses. And then I think I enjoyed it so much that I chose it as my major. And that's what led me to the world of tech. Then, in terms of I then from there I did honors because I felt like I wanted a more practical experience into what exactly are the roles, because I think often we just, hear technology and we think it's just the developer, the technical side, which is quite a misconception because there's so much. In fact, almost every industry has a bit of technology in it. I got my practical experience with honors, and then I went on to become a systems analyst. That was my first job. I started as a grad, and then I from there was into the systems analyst sphere. But now currently I'm into business analyst and project manager in a more service delivery role, which combines the two.
Okay, so when you say, just bear with me here, I didn't do a BCom, but when you say information systems, sort of what did you study? And then in the role of systems analyst, and even what you're doing now, what do you do on a day-to-day operational basis?
Yeah, so a lot of people actually, when you say information systems, they're not really sure what it is exactly. So it's a combination of different, firstly, obviously, information, like how to analyze data. So organizing raw data was one of the modules, just to ensure that you have basic skills to query databases and to gather information. And then another course was more on the business analyst side, which means understanding a business requirement, so what a business wants, and then using technology to enable that or to build a system for business. So that's where the term business analyst comes into. And then, so that's some of the like topics we did, like I think security as like one of the modules because that's so important with um, IT and where we're heading. And we did like what would be the future trends as a model. And then also more of a like business side of things like management, project management, how to manage people, how it works in the corporate world. So yeah, those were some of the topics that we started with. And then in the real world, it's actually you understand like how evolving it is. So what you learned in university is the foundation of that of those areas that in the working world, but it's so much more vast and growing that you kind of just learn on the job as well and adapt to how every organization does things because everyone does things differently. So my day to day would look like if I have a client and they want to build a specific system, they would say that okay, we want a website, and then I need to understand what this website needs to do, what specifications, what's the purpose, and sometimes it's easy to go in as a business analyst or consultant and say, do exactly what you're saying, but a good business analyst will be analytical and say, like, what are you truly trying to resolve? What purpose is this trying to serve? So that you don't just build something because the customer is asking, but you build something that they actually need and is going to add value. And you take that to your developers. So you really need to understand the business process and the requirements. So when you take it to the technical team, they build something that's going to add value. And yeah, that's essentially on a high level what we do.
No, that's really informative. Okay, so systems architecture, systems analytic, and I see where the project management comes in. So
Yeah,
now you mentioned something interesting, which was when you started studying, you had no idea what you wanted to do.
yeah.
You ended up finding what you love while you were studying, and it's turned into your career. But looking back, would you say there was something along that journey which really influenced you to stick to this path, or this was, tech was it for you? Was there anything that you would say was that factor?
Yes. Yes, so to be honest with you, to be completely candid, like the tech industry was kind of like a lot of them came to career day and like we learned like a lot about like what the job would entail and there's so many opportunities as well out there. So I think that's like one of the things as young when you're at that young age, you're thinking of sustainability, so that was one of the eye-catching thing for me. And also the type of work being in corporate, like you'll be working with the team, you get to collaborate. And I think I got an idea of what it would be like in honors and actually having practical experience because we had to like find an actual company and they needed us to build a system, not or work on an existing system and then kind of enhance something on it. And then that gave like some practical experience because often you don't sometimes without that like knowledge of what the job actually is, it's difficult to you might just join and then be like this isn't for me or I'm not actually I didn't expect this. So I think that little bit of work experience or internship kind of thing really helps you gain some perspective, helps you make your decision.
No, of course. And I think that goes on throughout your career, right? You constantly, I mean, you said you've moved on from being a systems analyst to more of a business analyst and project manager.
Yes.
And in
Yeah.
doing so, you'd have to reflect on, okay, do I still like what I'm doing? What else do I want to do? So, with the knowledge and experience which you now have and that you apply throughout your career, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Yeah. So I think like one of the big things when I just started out, I was very scared to ask a lot of questions. I thought it was going to make me seem stupid or incompetent. And that was the time when you're a graduate, you were supposed to be asking, you know, because it's like quite it's not always easy. You're not always going to know a new system. And I think I would tell my younger self, you were too hard on yourself. You expected to know everything when you were just a graduate. Um, and I always like pushed myself because I thought if like a client said they needed something, I would work till late hours trying to get it done, which is not always the best approach. Work-life balance is very important. And also doing a favor sometimes can be, or like it creates a habit and then it becomes an expectation. So it's not always the good thing because you might have a good intention not to disappoint and you want to get this over because there's a whole lot of responsibility and this it results in it's so important to the client because there's all this pressure from the higher ups. But sometimes you have to put a step down and you have to be like, this is unrealistic. This is, it's really just not possible. And I think that learning to have courage is something I learned is a very powerful thing. And I feel like I wish I could tell my younger self that.
Well, that's such an important lesson, actually. I think even in my career, or actually just in general life, that's still something I've tried to remind myself and to learn is that you always have the power to say no, to put your mental health and emotional well-being first, because no job is worth that and no situation in your life is worth that. So that's some really good advice. Um, Actually, thank you. It was just a reminder to myself. And then on a sort of parting note, why would you encourage any girls watching this to consider tech as their career, and why should they be part of the tech revolution?
So I think that tech is so vast that you could be in tech and be in the fashion industry. You could be in tech and be in marketing. You could be, building systems for in any industry. Like there's no limitation. And I feel like it's such a, rewarding feeling to be part of the force because you actually get to see your product or it's a really fulfilling role. So if it's a developers, you get to build something exciting, you get to see it live, and it's such a fulfilling experience. And you also get to collaborate with a team of people. I can't guarantee that your team would always be great, but you get to collaborate with people and you're making a big difference because sometimes, like, you think you're just building a system for the client, but if you look deeper, there's always so much value in what you do. And I think that's the most rewarding is seeing the impact of what you're building has on people because most often than not, it's if you're creating a financial system, it's helping people save for their future. If you provide, so I was in the telecommunications previously industry, and then you're enabling people to reach out to their loved ones because you're providing a, connectivity. So it's like looking for that deeper meaning and finding that fulfillment, and also, yeah, it's a fun learning, ever changing industry, and I think that's something that you would enjoy. You can still have a creative side. You can still, you know, um, be yourself in this industry. So I think that's my encouragement is like join this because there's so many endless opportunities.
Well, I really like that. I think you're right. I mean, I certainly am not a developer, nor do I know the first thing about development. But you're right, there's so much in tech. And like you said in the beginning, every industry interacts with tech in some way or form. And it's certainly the way the world is moving. We're becoming more and more technologically involved and technologically inclined. As simple as just picking up your cell phone and saying, hey, I need a post on Instagram for my work. It's that simple. So that's a really worthwhile message to anyone struggling in varsity or in high school, even post varsity. What am I doing with my life? Well, look to tech. There's a lot of avenues to go down. So thank you for sharing, Feroza, and your words are definitely going to guide a lot of young girls out there.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, it was a great experience chatting to you.